Alrighty, here we go. Everything working good? My mic too loud? My mic too quiet? Am I too loud? Do I need to shut the fuck up? Should I just quit doing this? I think so. But, alas, it's not that easy. Is it? Because I got shit to say, and I'm gonna make it known, whether you like it or not. I got a beer to drink. It's not even noon. Oh well, 5 minutes. I can give myself a little break there. That's good. So it's what is it, President's Day? Labor Day? Something like that. My 3-day weekend here is coming to a close. So I thought, why not do this show? I've been meaning to do it since like last Wednesday. But I've been busy. And then the nature of this type of show is that, you know, you have topics, news items, and then if you don't do it right away, it's not even worth talking about. For instance, the fucking Cracker Barrel thing. That's done and over with. Half the shit I wanted to say. It's already too late. No one cares anymore. Did anyone really care to begin with? I know I didn't. I just thought it was funny. You put the liberal woman in charge, and the stock price tanks. Everyone starts going off on them. And it's like, man, my 3-day weekend. It's already almost over. It's already fucking noon on Monday. Where did it go? It's like, I want the 3-day weekend to last forever. But then I realized, like, you know what? We were put here to do one thing, and that's work. So I might as well not cry about it and get my ass back to work tomorrow. But before I do, something's rattling around in my headphones. So I gotta take these apart after the show. Probably some screw came loose. Is that screw loose in the headphones, or is that screw loose in my head? I don't know. But I did just want to touch on a few news things. And how all of this has one central theme, and it's just retardation. The retardation of society at large. And how it manifests itself in different and small ways that most people wouldn't even think twice about. And I saw, I think this morning, maybe last night, you know how your phone, if you just use, is this Chrome, I think? Surprisingly, I'm using Chrome. When you open a new tab, it has the little discover thing, which is like just news articles or whatever. That's actually where I get a lot of the stuff I talk about on here. And I saw, I guess it was Pennsylvania's doing it now, but this has been going on for like a year. And it's, let's see, DC, California, Portland, Oregon, Burlington, Vermont. And the one I said, Philly. California, of course. I mean, leave it to them. They're banning the sale and use of gas-powered leaf blowers. That's insane. because people are complaining about the noise. Well, I grew up, I've lived in apartments. I've had to deal with that shit my whole life. Everywhere I've lived, come to think of it, there have been people using fucking leaf blowers. It's just a part of life. When they're doing the grass and they're blowing the leaves out of the parking lot, you gotta hear that for like 45 minutes. And then they fuck off. Now, I get that it can be annoying, especially if you were like me at one point and I worked overnights. And then when you're trying to sleep for work, you got some dicks with leaf blowers outside. But, I can't complain about it. I didn't go out there yelling at them because I know I'm the oddball. I'm the weird ass with the fucking graveyard shift. And the rest of the world operates during the day. So it would be out of place for me to go out there telling them to fuck off because I gotta sleep. But these states, these places, are taking it a couple steps further and outright banning them. You would think, this is silly, right? Why would I even be talking about it? Well, because it's indicative of a bigger problem. It's indicative of your average Joe, or hopefully not average, hopefully these are extreme outliers, who thinks that they are so fucking important, their peace can't be disturbed by a guy outside working, to where they're pushing their fucking local state government to ban these things. California took it a step further, and they're banning weed whackers and other small off-road engines. I would assume that means like pit bikes, little like pocket dirt bike you buy your kid so he can get into riding. What's next? Gas generators? Something that serves like probably a more important purpose than any yard equipment or a kid's toy or a dirt bike. Oh, you can't have that. It's too loud. We just had a hurricane. I need power in my house. I have a generator. Yeah, but you can't do it. Is that what we're moving to? Because if a cop shows up at my house after a hurricane and tells me I can't use a generator because of noise, I might go to prison that night. All this because Bobby Dickhead next door doesn't want to hear the noise of a leaf blower. Or, oh, the kid's he's riding his little pocket bike around the yard. Well, I don't want to hear that. Well, then, you know what, buddy? Turn your TV up. Turn your music up. Put some fucking earplugs in. I don't know what to tell you, man. The rest of the world, we're up doing shit. We're making noise, man. Hey. Stop fucking with that. Of course they're gonna say it's not just for the noise, though. It's also for the environment. Which is bullshit. We all know it's bullshit. We all know that burning gas is nowhere near as bad for the environment as they say it is. And in fact, that getting electric stuff, now, maybe with tools, it's not so bad as like driving an electric car, because that's just the production of those alone is very bad for the environment. Plus the electricity that goes into charging them, these massive draws on the grid, it's all like coal powered anyway. Just as bad, if not worse, probably worse, than just driving a gas car. But, I have to disclaim that and disavow that for my channel. If I get caught saying something about CC or GW and it's not in line with the official narrative, well, there goes my channel. So, yeah. Everything I just said, take it with a grain of salt. It's probably not even true. Let's see. What else do we had? I think I had 3 other things. My phone fucking locked on me. That's great. Okay. Yeah. And this ties in too. Since we're talking about the climate, and we're talking about just absolute insanity that people are trying to push on everyone else because they believe something about the climate that is probably exaggerated at best and an outright fabrication at worst. It doesn't stop with, small off-road engines, anything gas-powered. No. Guess what? You own a dog? You're part of the problem now. You can't even have a dog. These eco-terrorist fucks, these climate change nut jobs, these fucking Greta Thunbergs of the world want to take away your right to own a fucking dog. Everyone likes dogs. Most people like dogs. Some people like JLP really don't like dogs. But that's because he's insane. I had a dog not too long ago. It's because I had a girlfriend. The girlfriend left. She took the dog. It was her dog. But I love the dog. But then you got people saying, oh, well, your dog is contributing into the end of the world. Maybe they're not that dramatic about it. But they might as well be. Now here is from the CBC, Canadian Cuck Broadcasting. Let's see. Study recently published by the National Academy of Sciences found that when asked to rank actions, take off these fucking things. I can't wear the headphones. It really throws me off. Such as swapping a car that uses gasoline for an electric one, carpooling, or reducing food waste, participants from a U.S. cohort weren't very accurate when assessing how much these actions contribute to climate change. People overassign impact to actually pretty low impact actions, such as recycling, and underestimate the actual carbon impact of behaviors more carbon intensive, like flying or eating meat. Yeah, sorry, you guys aren't taking that from us. I don't care about flying. It's very rare. Maybe in the last 10 years I've been on 2 planes. But eating meat? No. No. So, go vegan, eat the bugs, and you're not allowed to have pets. And you have to drive electric cars. Hey, you got power sports equipment? You got a dirt bike? Nope. Take that away, too. And, air conditioning? Let's do away with that. That's harming the environment, too, right? So, live in a sweat box, eat bugs, kill your pets, because they're contributing. Do you see the insanity of these people? The stupidity that's bleeding out into even somewhat normal people are starting to believe shit like this. The top 3 individual actions that help the climate, including avoiding planes, choosing not to get a dog, and using renewable electricity, were also the 3 that participants underestimated the impact of the most. Meanwhile, the lowest impact actions were changing to more efficient appliances, swapping out light bulbs, recycling, and using less energy on washing clothes. Well, if we give in to the logical endpoint of these people's beliefs, people won't even be wearing clothes. We won't even have houses. We'll be living like savages out in the fucking woods. Maybe that's not so bad. Let's look through this here. People just don't associate pets with carbon emissions. Dogs are big meat eaters, and meat is a significant contributor to climate change. Oh, really? You know, if we're going to take your guys' belief at face value, most of you climate science people are atheists. So you believe that the Earth has been around for billions of years, and humanity's been around for millions of years, and for all that time, people have been eating meat, and it's only becoming a problem now. Duh, make it make sense. You can't. You just fucking can't. It's just your way of pushing your insane eco-terrorist beliefs on the rest of us. Greta Thunberg, go unalive yourself. Mentally ill, autistic Swedish girl. I said it, and I'm not taking it back. That is because many of farm animals, which become food, release methane, a greenhouse gas that contributes to climate change. So they're tying this back to cow farts. I mean, how long has that argument been around? Beef is especially impactful, in part because around the world cattle are often raised on land that was illegally deforested. Is that right? I don't know, I have a hard time believing that. Could be true, though. I mean, this is CBC, the Canadian broadcast. I wouldn't exactly trust them. Since trees absorb carbon dioxide, the most abundant greenhouse gas, cutting them to then raise cattle, is a double whammy. Is it? Well, I mean, we're still here. The Earth isn't on fire yet. The owner of a meat-eating pet can lower their impact by looking for food made from sources other than beef. Zhao, for example. Who's Zhao? Somebody named earlier in the article. Some Chinaman. For example, tries to minimize her dog's carbon footprint by feeding her less carbon-intensive protein sources, including seafood and turkey. Well, then what's the problem? I'm not getting rid of a dog. I'm not getting rid of my cat. Because you know what? What are we going to do? Kill all the dogs and cats? Will we let them out in the wild? They're still going to be eating meat. They're still going to be fucking busting ass. Maybe not as much as the cows do. This is insane. It would drive me fucking nuts. Now here's another one, kind of old news, but I wanted to touch on it. Surely we remember the Space Force sergeant that shot a teenager who was trying to break into his car. Now, this is from the New York Post. I don't necessarily like the wording here. The former U.S. Space Force sergeant who fired multiple rounds at two suspected carjackers outside his home, killing a 14-year-old. Well, there's your problem. Why? Hey, mama, why is your 14-year-old out carjacking? Maybe he deserves to get shot. I don't care how old you are. You're out doing shit like that, you're going to get what's coming to you. Now, this man was sentenced to over half a century in jail. Orest Shur 29 years old, became emotional as he apologized for murdering 14-year-old Xavier Kirk. He's crying, he's talking shit. Let's see. The deadly shooting also left a 13-year-old hospitalized. What is this fucking thing doing? Oh, why can't the news ever design like a half-decent website? Sure, then a technical sergeant with the U.S. Space Force based in Aurora was awakened by a car alarm outside his apartment around 11 p.m. July in 2023. Oh. The then 27-year-old grabbed a pistol and ran outside to his Hyundai Elantra, where he spotted two people dressed in all black. Dressed in all black? I thought they were black. Never mind. Attempting to break into the car. Schur confronted the individuals, who happened to be of a certain category, but the would-be carjackers fled in another car. Now here's where he fucked up. The sergeant gave chase in his car and fired rounds at the teens. The fleeing car crashed into the backyard fence of a home 4 blocks south of Schur's residence. The teens hopped out of the damaged car and began running away as Schur continued to fire. That's where he fucked up. So maybe he did murder them, but it's kind of understandable. Kirk was found suffering from gunshot wounds to the head and back. He was transported to a local hospital and pronounced dead. The 13-year-old who was driving the getaway car was shot in the back and managed to get to a relative's house before being brought to the hospital, and he survived. Now, I can understand, especially if you're shooting them in the back. That's coming from, like, anger. That's like, I'm gonna get these motherfuckers. Whereas it's like, if it's in your driveway and they're stealing your car and you shoot into your own car because they're, like, trying to drive away with it, and I guess, you know, replacing your windshield and obviously your upholstery, after all the blood you're gonna get all over it, it's still cheaper than getting a new car. I can understand it. But if you look at the reactions to this story, I mean, it's the same thing with, like, Trayvon Martin. It's the same thing with the George Floyd. I mean, you can go and name, we can say their names all day, but there's usually, most of the time, not all the time, most of the time, there is one thread that connects all of these. And it's that the people that got killed put themselves in a situation to where they were going to get themselves killed. If they hadn't have been doing what they were doing, they wouldn't have got killed. They wouldn't have got shot. For instance, Trayvon, if he had just fucking left and told the guy, like, all right, I'm sorry, I'm out of here. But no, he attacked George Zimmerman. And I don't know, if it was me, even if I shouldn't have been following the kid, if he then turns around and pounces on me and starts slamming my head into the ground, I'm going to shoot him. Anyone who is out there saying, oh, I shouldn't have been in that situation, he shouldn't have been following him, it's like, well, if it was you and you were having your head slammed in the ground and you had a gun, I don't care how, you know, self-righteous you want to be about it. I don't care how much better you think you are than George Zimmerman. In that situation, you would have pulled the fucking trigger too. And it's the same with these kids, and it's the same with the fucking big balls. The Doge kid that got beat up in D.C. by category teenagers, since we can't say the other word, who were trying to steal a car. He did the right thing trying to stop that. Now everyone's all, oh, well, you know, that's the National Guard. Trump's bringing in the National Guard, but we don't have people protecting the kids in schools. It's like, because you dumbasses don't want it. You don't want soldiers in schools. You don't want more cops in schools. How would we have prevented that tranny scum from shooting up the fucking Catholic school in Minneapolis? Which, by the way, Rosie O'Donnell came out and said, oh, that guy was a MAGA supporter. That knee-jerk comment reaction. It comes out that, no, he wasn't. Just a funny thing, that little side note there. But again, who listens to that fucking fat heifer? Rosie O'Donnell. Ugh. But you got this tranny scum. Second time that I can remember in recent history. It's maybe happened more. Where a tranny has shot up a Catholic school. And we're supposed to sit back and feel bad for him. I actually had this conversation with my dad not too long ago. It was funny. Because I'm like, are you really going to justify what he did and say, oh, well, you know what it probably was? One of those priests probably molested him as a kid. It's like, no. And even if that was the case, you don't just go in and start shooting 8-year-olds. That these people do anything to defend those actions. Not necessarily the actions. When you really press them on the actions, they're like, oh, well, no, shooting kids is wrong. But, it's like, no, there's no but. But he got molested by one of the priests, which I don't even think that's true. I don't think that ever came out. I think he was just making that up to try to win an argument with me. It's like, no. Oh, well, you're just blaming him because he's transgender. Like, yeah, that definitely played a part in it. I don't like that we have these degenerates killing children, let alone Christian children. And I'm supposed to sit here and keep my mouth shut up about it? Fuck no. I got a YouTube show that no one watches, that has no subscribers, but I'm still going to speak my mind. And I would hope everyone else does, out in public, wherever they can. Make it known that the majority of us, the silent majority, doesn't fucking fall for this shit. We're not going to tolerate it. And whenever it happens, we're going to point and say, look at the troon fagagagate over there that just killed some kids and then turned the gun on himself because he's a coward. Because he's a fucking degenerate like they all are. And I don't care if I get canceled or I get fired from my job for it or whatever else. Speak the truth. Tell it like it is. And if you lose your job, go get another one. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about here, slightly more lighthearted. I can't help myself. I want to, keep things light, talk about climate change, dogs, leaf blowers. I always got to end up bringing it around to some heavy shit. Oh, a troon killing kids. But this is a little lighter, I guess. Because it also plays into, again, the thread of just people being fucking stupid. Where's my... Oh. Come on. Technical difficulties. There we go. Sorry about that. So, now I just want to speak a little more on this immigration thing, because I will say that it's one thing that Trump's doing that I actually support. Now, I'm not one of these people that's all, oh, we gotta kick out all the immigrants and the spit, no, and all the Indians and the Muslims, and that's a whole different topic. But I will say that if you came here illegally, you should be brought the fuck out of here. With force if necessary. I will also say that on my list of things that should be being done by a president, immigration honestly isn't all that high. I don't really care too much if we got illegals here or not. I don't want criminals here, but we have enough of our own American citizen criminals. And now to worry about criminals coming from other countries illegally. Which, by the way, every illegal immigrant, every illegal alien is a criminal by definition because they're here illegally. Maybe they're not violent criminals. Maybe they're not all gang members and rapists. But they are criminals by definition. But you got these judges constantly blocking everything he's trying to do, right? Then you got this J.B. Pritzker, which his name's close. It should be Pricksker, because he is a fat prick. Calls for all to stand up to Trump's immigration crackdown in Chicago. Now, why? Why do these people want illegals in the country? Why do they want to have people that we need to give money to, we need to give aid to, we need to have them stay in hotels for free, and the owners of those hotels aren't fucking happy because they're losing money, and give them food stamps, and give them free driver's licenses, which really blows my mind. And then you got the mayor in Chicago, Brandon fucking Johnson, that clown. I guess that's where the immigration thing is center stage now in Chicago, which I don't quite understand why it would be there as far north as Illinois is. You'd think the main things would be like Arizona, Texas, New Mexico. But no. It's all these blue states and super blue cities doing their sanctuary thing. But it just... Look at this. 1.2 million immigrants are gone from the U.S. labor force under Trump. So, what is that, like... How do they word that way and not see how deceitful they're being? 1.2 million illegal aliens are gone from the U.S. labor force. And do we really need millions of foreigners, illegal foreigners, on the workforce? How many of our own unemployed do we have here? How many fucking homeless that actually want to work could you give those jobs to? And forget about that, because they're talking about, like, what, farm jobs, like construction, kind of like day labor shit. Let's talk about places like Walmart, where you're hard-pressed to go into a Walmart and see a single white person, let alone blacks or Hispanics that actually speak fucking English. I go to Walmart, I'm trying to ask one of the employees where to find something. They don't know what I'm saying. Because where I live, it's all Haitian women. Like, fresh off the boat. Can't even fucking understand a lick of English. They're not the ones getting fucking fired. And I kind of get it with that, because it's like, who wants to work at a Walmart? I'm sure most Americans would be like, I'd rather go work at a restaurant. Or for the manly men, you know, I'd rather go do fucking day labor or get it on the ground floor at some kind of fucking construction or trade job and work my way up and learn. And then there's the Kilmar, which, you know, shouldn't even be a news thing. This has been overhyped and turned into a political football. Here's my take on it. The guy's a fucking MS-13 member. We don't need him in our country. I don't care what he has done or hasn't done, how long he's been here, what his family's like. Gang members, and I'm not even just saying foreign gang members, I'm saying even all the naturalized Americans kind of gangs. Except prison gangs. I guess it makes sense in prison why gangs would exist, but once you get out of prison, it shouldn't even be an issue. Prison gangs are like while you're in there to survive in that ecosystem, if you will. But I would say we should take all the gangs, all the drug traffickers, all that. We should just round them up and, well, you finish that sentence. I want to keep my channel, thank you very much. So that about covers it. I could go deeper on the immigration thing, but I don't know. I feel like I've said my piece. Now, in other news for the channel, hopefully soon I'll be bringing a co-host on. If he ever gets his shit together and gets something that can actually have him join the stream. There will be a co-host, and I do plan on also doing my Destruction of Atheism stream. But I honestly want to... I know that there are plenty of guys out there on YouTube who can do a much better job than me of talking about atheism and how insane it is. For instance, Jim Bob or Jay Dyer, although he's not really against atheists so much, but people that can explain, like Jim Bob is the one that comes to mind really. Like, I'm not going to do anywhere near as good a job as Jim Bob. Jim Bob is, I will admit, Jim Bob is much smarter than me. And much more articulate. But I still feel like doing the stream. Just to show that, you know, even a brain-dead homunculus like myself can understand it. So that none of you have any excuse to be atheists. That should be coming soon. And I guess that is all.